This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bornini, and these are your headlines. A new strain of mosquito could be the deadliest ever. Police officers are suspended for illegal traffic fines, and the battle to save Cambodia's forests rages on. But first, our headline story. The hunt is on for mutant mosquitoes that are emerging from the swamps and the stagnant waters of Cambodia. The mutant mosquitoes are now almost completely immune to common insecticides. This is a frightening development, that a breed of mosquito is now resistant to most chemicals used to control it, and seeing that they are the world's deadliest animals, this is causing very grave concern. Mosquito-borne diseases kill 725,000 people a year. So, who is the number 2 deadliest animal? Well, that is humans. We are responsible for 400,000 deaths a year. But even in our barbarism, we cannot get anywhere near what the mosquito can do. Over the course of the past 200,000 years, there has been 110 billion people living on planet Earth, and nearly half of them, 52 billion, have been killed by mosquitoes. That is how dangerous they are. An alarming report in the Science Advances magazine has stated that an insecticide-resistant dengue mosquito has been discovered in Asia. The Washington Post was more specific, saying, scientists reported that mosquitoes in Cambodia and Vietnam increasingly carry a mutation that makes them resistant to commonly deployed insecticides. The insecticides that target disease-spreading mosquitoes are running into nature's ultimate defense mechanism, and that is evolution. The mutation has been seen previously, but never at such a high frequency in a mosquito population as detected in both Cambodia and Vietnam, which seems to be the very heart of the problem. The mosquito is one that transmits dengue, yellow fever, Zika, and other diseases. Now, to make matters worse, populations of those particular mosquitoes are increasing and expanding geographically due to climate change, urbanization, and globalization. The mutating mosquitoes have only been detected in those 2 countries so far, but will spread to other areas of Asia. And in doing so, they open a terrifying new front that is currently isolated. But the biggest killer that Earth has ever known has now opened a new front in its battle with man. Not only is there this new strain of mosquitoes resilient to pesticides, but it is now spread as far as Northern Europe and the Americas. And that has many people across the globe very concerned. Recently, there has been a spate of traffic police being suspended for not allocating fines in the correct manner. Now, what I mean by that is some police officers have been diverting money from fines issued to motorists not into the state coffers, but into their own personal bank accounts. Many motorists tell tales of how being fined for a driving offence can involve financial sleight of hand, where money taken from the drivers is paid directly to the police officer's bank, and rather handily leaving a paper trail so obvious it leaves no doubt at all as to who is breaking the law. 10 traffic policemen have been suspended after various accusations, including from one member of the public, that accuses an officer of making him pay a traffic fine directly into the officer's personal bank account. The accuser stated that Kampong Speu police made him pay $200 directly into the officer's bank. The incident took place earlier this week when the traffic police at Kampong Speu province stopped a truck carrying heavy goods towards Sihanoukville. Police found the driver was without his license and transporting bulky goods illegally. Police levied a $200 fine, and as the driver of the lorry did not have the cash at hand, it is alleged that the police instructed him to pay the fine directly into the officer's personal account. After the accusation was made, Kampong Speu Provincial Police investigated and took action against 10 traffic officers in accordance with the rules and regulations of the National Police Force, as well as returning the fine that was levied against the driver. To many, it shows a somewhat blasé attitude that some police officers have by blatantly placing money directly into their accounts. If nothing else, it certainly shows a distinct lack of imagination.
The Pre-Lang Community Network, known as the PLCN, reported this week that forestry crimes are still thriving within protected areas. They say that in Phra Vihear province, several cases of deforestation have been discovered within the protected areas. And according to a PLCN report released this week, they said they have found evidence in several locations of trees being stolen and have discovered numerous cases of illegal logging. They say that the crimes continue because of lax law enforcement on the part of Phra Vihear environmental officials.
The report by the PLCN stated that targeted trees were usually 1 metre in diameter. The most common cut timber found were all popular species of luxury hardwoods. The report added that the PLCN patrollers observed 8 people using 2 bulldozers with supplies of diesel and gasoline stored nearby. They also found numerous parts for logging equipment. PLCN chief Kuth Suem accused local environmental officials of inaction. He also alleged most forestry crimes happening in Phra Lang were perpetrated by people from Ode Minche province, most of whom were hired by illicit timber traders. Mr. Soem added, most timber dealers who buy luxury wood reside in Che Sen district. And according to estimate, there are some 20 timber depots in this area, operating quite openly, which makes a nonsense of the forest's protected status, for trees are being cut down with heavy machinery, such as industrial chainsaws and bulldozers, and the timber being harvested is being traded openly. The PLCN had tried to work with environmental officials and have offered to patrol the Phra Lang forest to help stop the destruction. But the Ministry of Environment said they must be registered to do so, so the skills of the PLCN and the local people is not being utilised. It is truly tragic that those that are destroying a nation's heritage do so with chainsaws screaming and bulldozers ripping. And those that are disseminating a nation's ecosystem are openly trading their timber with little concern. The PLCN warning is very clear. If this does not stop, soon there will be nothing to stop, as the last tree would have been fallen, and where forest once stood will be ravaged, desolate land.
Ukrainian deminers are currently being trained here in Cambodia to take back vital skills that will save so many people's lives. Cambodia has been in a titanic struggle with unexploded ordnance for many a decade. You never have to travel far to see somebody that has become a victim of the deadly rage of landmines or unexploded bombs. Even now, that terror still haunts vast swathes of the countryside. But through Cambodia's struggle, they have fine-tuned their skills with unexploded devices to such a level they are now world experts. And that is why the Ukrainians have come. They need those skills desperately to help protect their citizens from the continued bombing and occupation of their country by hostile Russian forces.
Cambodia has won praise for its role in supporting the Ukrainian war effort with humanitarian assistance by providing a special training course on mine clearance for Ukrainian deminers. A group of Ukrainian soldiers travelled to Battambang province to visit a rural minefield where Cambodian experts are carrying out live demining operations. The training is being conducted by Cambodia Mine Action Centre, a government agency that oversees the clearing of landmines and is supported by the government of Japan. CMAC has been providing training on demining technology, particularly a Japan-made detection device called ALIS. The courses were conducted by trainers, which included Cambodian engineers who had studied in the Ukraine 25 years ago. 3 of the teachers were included because they understood some of the Ukrainian language, thus leading to a much easier training process. While visiting the minefield in Battambang, Captain Asnel, a leading specialist in the demining of Ukraine, said, "For us, it is more dangerous than World War II because there's a lot of Russian missiles and Russian cells hitting our cities. They are striking us every single day, and this has continued for over a year. The Russians are using old bombs and rockets, and often they do not explode on impact. And the training that these Ukrainians are receiving will without doubt help to save many lives."
In the past week, some areas of the country have been hit by bursts of seasonal rain. More than 10,000 hectares of rice paddies in Takao have been affected by recent flooding. Now, this is a nightmare for residents and farmers in rural areas, as the sudden heavy rains and flash floods take an exceedingly harsh toll on their crops, as well as the roads that the farmers use to transport their crops to market.
The governor of Takao has said that the recent out-of-season floods have affected more than 10,000 hectares of rice fields within the province. Some fields were completely destroyed and others suffered serious damage to their crops, reducing the yield significantly. The governor even went as far as to order local authorities to be prepared and to open waterways and to have the possibility of evacuating people from flooded areas. Flooding has also caused severe damage to bridges and roads in Kompong Chang. According to the report of the Director of the Department of Rural Development, 78 kilometres of rural roads have been damaged by floods, but repairs are now underway, with emergency measures being put into place to allow travel. The rural roads and bridges that were damaged do not have the tolerance that tarmac roads have. And when hit by a flash flood that can produce millions of gallons of water, the impact to the farmers can be quite simply devastating on 2 accounts. Firstly, crops can be destroyed in front of their very eyes. Then they face the logistical nightmare of traversing country lanes ruined by flooding to try and get their crops to market. We in the city see the rain come and then we see it go. But out in the countryside, those darker skies often provoke a real fear of what is to come.
And now it's time to look at our sports news.
A review of the highlights of the Premier League last week, and what we see is that Arsenal got an incredibly important win against Man U. They were at home and they beat them 3-2. Man U's counterpart did much better, 3-0 against Wolves. Crystal Palace 0-0. That's such a shame. They looked like they were going to score, but unfortunately this is football and you don't always win the games that you should do.
It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
This weather report looks so incredibly dull, we may as well be back in Belgium. And seeing as we're looking at something so boring, I took the time to look up on the internet what are the most boring things in the world. This weather report wasn't one of them. It's actually being stuck in traffic, standing in a queue, being put on hold, and amazingly people said the routine of everyday life. Don't understand that. I have a great life. Well, this weather report is really dreary. We've got a tickle of a wind at 4 miles an hour. We've got humidity right in the middle, 47%. It could be sunny, it could be cloudy. And the temperature itself, well, that's right in the middle for us anyway as well, sitting about the 31-degree mark.
This has been the Khmer Times News. You can contact myself at the studio by mailing us at ktnewsstudio@gmail.com. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next Saturday for your weekly roundup.